Awesome. Okay, cool. So this is like so funny. Okay, so you got Apple Bloom and Applejack, and there's like this huge trip that Applejack needs to make. Um, to go from like the apple farm over here. So at home, she's getting ready to leave, and Apple Bloom, she's trying to, just do some little mischievous things for a little kid. Go around, sneak out at night, stay up late, have some fun, pick trees, do stuff by herself, and just kind of be a little more independent, right? Just like kids growing up and they want to do their own thing. And so Apple Bloom or Applejack sees this, and she's like, hey, you probably can't do this dangerous thing that's kind of dangerous because it's dangerous. And she's like, can't stay up that late. He's like trying to basically parent Apple Bloom because again, they don't have a mother or a father since they're dead. So because of that, she kind of acts like Apple Bloom's mom and says, hey, you gotta, do this, do that, do this. And she starts to like kind of control what she's doing. So it makes Apple Bloom a little bit upset, and it kind of boils up in her, and she's like, okay, well, how can she make her sister think that she's grown up, adult, whatever. She just wants to be taken more seriously, give her more respect. And so instead of like being, you see his problem, like, instead of being transparent and saying, hey, Applejack, you treat me like a kid. I don't really like it. Would you please treat me better? You gotta communicate. Instead of communicating, Apple Bloom decides that she's going to sneak out at night and make this pie delivery to the faraway land in place of Applejack, and then come back the next day. So she'll do Applejack's job for her to show her how professional she is and how developed she is, right? Which is just like ridiculous, because all she has to do is be transparent, let Applejack know how she feels, and let her understand what's going on. She just doesn't want to do that. So she goes on this huge path. And at the beginning it's pretty simple. All she does, she takes like this huge cart full of pies and brings them down to, down this path, and pretty basic stuff until she gets to this like one area, sort of like midway through. And like it's basically like there's just lava pits everywhere. And so she's like navigating lava pits. And then there's also like this giant monster thing that comes up, which like tries to eat her. So it's kind of crazy. And there's like this big chase scene, and she's running away from the monster and trying to like get away from it and like survive and make it to the town. And there's just a whole fiasco of her like almost dying, which is like pretty crazy. And she tries to make it to the end of this like place. And so she like sort of like makes it kinda. She runs away fast enough so that like the huge creature gets confused and it leaves her alone. So that's pretty impressive. That's cool. And so she's running away from this like huge monster. She's got like nowhere to go, and she's sort of like freaking out, and for a good reason. It's pretty scary, like giant thing. And so she's like at her wit's end. She's at the corner of like this lava area that she can't really run any further. And then Applejack comes in and realizes that she ran away and she went to take the order. And so she comes in to save her, and she's got like her whip and like boots and other weapons and stuff like that. And so she comes in and like takes care of the beast, because she has the tools to conquer the land. She knows what needs to be in place to actually take care of this monster, right? She understands what she needs to defeat it, just because like she's been here before and she's done this before, and she has more experience, right? And so she comes in and she feeds him and saves Apple Bloom and says, Apple Bloom, you're crazy, oh my gosh. And then they make it to this town, and then when they're at this town, everybody's super happy because they get a bunch of pies and they're having a great time. And they say, thank you so much, and they sell all their pies. And then on their way back, like Applejack realizes, it's pretty cool that you're able to make, this whole journey all by yourself. And I respect that, and that's awesome. Maybe I don't have to treat you like a kid anymore as much. You give a little bit more respect. You can be a little bit more independent. She's being transparent, right? She's telling Apple Bloom exactly how she feels, and giving her, pretty much exactly what she wanted the whole time, which is a little bit more respect. Not necessarily, the best way to go about it, right? But it was a very effective way because she went out and she like did it, She took action. Now this was a little bit of a questionable action. It probably would have made more sense to like talk about this first. But she freaking didn't care. She just did it. And so often people, they get hesitant or they're worried about like how something's gonna work out or, if I need to plan this, plan a plan. It's just ridiculous. It's bogus. You just gotta take action. And the instant that you do that, all of a sudden it's like 10,000 times easier because you're already in motion. Objects in motion stay in motion. She's creating momentum and building up, her movement to her sister to say, look, I'm responsible. You should respect me more. Give me a little bit of slack. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what she gets from this because she proved herself by taking action and, taking the next logical step to get exactly what she wanted. And for her, that step was to go out there and do, some work for Applejack so that Applejack could see that she was, of the same caliber, because they're very similar. And even though she's younger, like she absolutely crushed this assignment and made it happen. And so if she can make that happen, then she clearly deserves a little bit more respect. And so that's what she gets. She gets it. And respect is like the number one possible that you must have for success. Because if you can't, people, especially for leadership, people are only going to follow those who they respect. And so that's what Apple Bloom does. Awesome. For who the Sweetie Belle toils. So this is like so cool. So Rarity and Sweetie Belle, they're sitting at home, and she's working on this huge order for Sapphire Shores, right? And so she's just one of like her biggest clients, and she has a ton of she's like a star, right? So she's like on stage, and she's got tons of like backup dancers, and they all need like outfits, and so everybody they're buying a bunch of clothes, right? And so Rarity's making all these clothes, and so she's got her dresses here, dresses there, and getting stuff done. And she's got like this huge order, and it's due like tomorrow, right? And so because of that, she's pretty stressed. She's just going hard, getting it done, making it work. She's got her stuff done. And then Sweetie Belle comes in, and Sweetie Belle really wants to play. There's this big event. She's got this play that she's doing at school, and Rarity, she made all the dresses for Sweetie Belle and her friends at the school play, and she was like super excited that she got all the dresses for them, and they were gonna go perform. It's gonna be the best thing ever. It's gonna be awesome. And so because of that, she decides that she will, she made all the dresses. And so Sweetie Belle, she really wants Rarity to come to this play for her school. But like Rarity's seriously got to finish this crap because like she took her time out to make these dresses for Sweetie Belle, and now she's got to finish this stuff for her client and then get it over there like really soon. And so she just like does not physically have the time to come over here, which it sucks because she's just always getting stuff done, and oh man, it hurts, and it's just a bad situation to be in. She just has so much to do, and I guess she just doesn't like have anyone to work for, which is a shame. So Sweetie Belle, like she's so upset, she's so sad because just like earlier, right, with Sister of Social and all these times where like she was super busy and like she did exactly what she asked, but just isn't able to give her time, which is like her most valuable asset. And so because of that, she's got to stay here and work. And Sweetie Belle, she gets pretty upset. The reason why is because she has like this flashback, right, to when she was like a kid. And when she was a kid, she had this birthday party. And at this birthday party, she was like, had all her friends over, and Rarity was there. And she went upstairs to go put like her dress on for her birthday party. And then as she started to come back downstairs, she saw Rarity like playing with everybody, giving everyone tons of gifts and showing them all this cool stuff and having like tons of fun with them. And essentially like taking all the attention away from Sweetie Belle, which made her feel super sad, right? And left out and alienated her own party. It was awful. Now, she doesn't like understand like the other side of the story, right? So because of this, she has like this negative memory of her sister, and she never talks about it, right? She's not transparent, not transparent. She doesn't like say, hey, this was something that really hurt, this was a problem, let's talk about this. Nah. She starts with a raw, an undone foundation. Like there's a flaw in the foundation of this relationship, and it all starts kind of like this early traumatic childhood event where like she feels like her birthday was ruined and her attention was just savaged away by Rarity, and it just is a bad feeling for her. And so they've had this whole relationship built on top, but the relationship is just fundamentally flawed, which sucks. It sucks. It's bad. So finish that, okay? Now, after that event, it's a long time ago. So like it's today, right? And so now what's going on? Well, you see, she sees this and she becomes jealous and she becomes angry, which are the worst emotions possible. And she says, look, you know what? I'm gonna mess up Rarity's order, so that she will, get back at her or whatever. And so in the middle of the night, like right before Rarity leaves, she sneaks in and she removes like this one thread from one of the headpieces for Sapphire Shores, like the lead, actress, right? And so she removes this one little string from the headpiece. Then you can't really like see anything different about it, but as soon as you like put it on, the whole thing falls apart without that one little string. Is what Rarity told her. And so because of that, like she's removing this to like completely sabotage the outfit and her clients' work and just mess up her sister, which it sucks, it's bad. And so like she does this, and then Rarity leaves, the next day. She's out of here, she goes over here, she's on her trip, she's trying to get her way to the show, right? So for the showing of the new play, and then obviously the new clothes that go with it, right? And so that night, she has this dream, right? And in the dream, obviously, like Luna is in everybody's dreams, right? And so Luna comes in her dream and she's like looking at everything that Sweetie Belle does and her actions. And she comes in and she says, do you realize like what really happened here? She's having like this nightmare about her sister being the most evil person ever, and trying to destroy her happiness, which is so twisted and problematic, and it's all because she lacked transparency and she wasn't able to connect at a deep level. She just didn't understand, they didn't talk out their problems, which sucks. And so she comes in and she says, see, the reason like this happened when she was young is because when Sweetie Belle went upstairs, all her friends got super bored and a lot of them were starting to leave and they were getting upset and they weren't happy with the party. And so the only reason she tried to entertain them was to keep them there for her so that they would pay attention to her and think she was special. And that was her whole goal. It was never trying to sabotage or hurt or shame anything that she does, anything that she did. Excuse me. So that was like what pushed Sweetie Belle over the edge. She realized she would have known, and that it was so wrong to ruin this order and demolish the main headpiece. And so she like gets to CMC and they run over here as fast as possible. They break into the practice room and they come and they steal the shipment from Rarity, and they just like take it right before she's about to deliver it. And she's trying frantically to fix it and to make it happen and to make it work. And she is just on with her friends. They're breaking in, they're stealing stuff. And Rarity eventually, she's like running after her, and they catch each other, right? And so they're in the same room, and Sweetie Belle has to make a decision. Right? She can lie, she can tell the truth, she can be transparent. And Sweetie Belle, she tells Rarity exactly how she feels. She becomes totally and completely transparent and says exactly what happened, how she felt, why she did what she did, what she did. She took out the big headdress piece that was going to hold it all together, and she demolished and sabotaged this piece of work just to get back at her for her feelings of internal self-doubt and disillusion, which absolutely crushed herself and her friends and their ability to grow and succeed together, which is terrible. But she's clear about it, and she adamantly admits that it was terrible. And she immediately says what she did wrong. And she says she's so sorry, and that she knows she should be punished, and that she knows she's the worst ever, blah, blah, blah. She's arguing against herself. And after she finishes telling Rarity how terrible she was, and how she should be punished, and how she's the worst person ever, Rarity somehow starts to forget all this wrongdoing. She starts to forget the bad things that happened. And she says, oh, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's okay. We can fix it. It's all right. No worries. By arguing against herself and being her greatest enemy, she actually saves face and gains the respect of Rarity again, and they become, closer than ever, because she didn't lie about her wrongdoings. She didn't hide it. She embraced it, and she said, look, I made a mistake. This was the mistake. I'm sorry. That's what you have to do, instantly, every single time. Awesome. All right, cool. So, leap of faith. So, the Flim Flam brothers, they're back, and they're more excited than ever to be selling some new things. Originally they actually made a cool invention and did stuff. This one's a little bit different. So basically they just they come into town and they have this huge tent, and they make a massive carnival show. And in this show, they get a ton of people to come in and look at hey, we got our new product, you should come check it out, it's the coolest thing ever. And so they call it the Flim Flam Miracle Curative Tonic. Oh man. And what happens is they have this huge stage presentation, and they're like, this is the best thing ever, it's a miracle tonic, and it'll do anything, blah, 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 it's magic water, it can do anything you want. And they bait the crowd with this one guy that they hire, and they say, hey, can we get a volunteer? And so he just shoots his hand up, and he's like, you sir, right there, it's just a random person, but he actually works for them. And so he comes on stage, and he's got crutches, and he's drink this magic water. And so he drinks the magic water, and then throws away his crutches and canes and starts walking again. And he is, it's just, like scam, right? So they're selling this miracle water to tons of people, the miracle tonic, tons of people. And it's it'll cure any disease, it'll do whatever you want, make you young again, anything you want. And so they sell a bottle to Granny Smith because she wants to be young again, right? And so she drinks it, and then she goes around and she starts, so when she was younger, she would swim all the time. So she starts swimming a whole bunch, all over again. She'd never been able to swim previously. And now she's just swimming all over the place and having the time of her life, and just, being amazing. It's the best thing ever for her. And obviously, it's the placebo. It's this idea that, you take a drug. It wasn't really a drug. It was just water and mint leaves. And so they just mix those together, and it was just a placebo, right? And so, she felt really good about herself because of this placebo. And it brings into question this idea of you've got your potential, right? You get your full potential. For Granny Smith, her potential was way up here for swimming, but she was only here. She was not really even able to swim very well, or dive at all. And then she takes this drink, she takes this tonic, has this placebo, effect, and now she's way up here. Now, this was within her all along, right? And it's all part of who she is this ability. Yet the only way for her to uncover this and to turn it into a reality was for her to take this placebo. Now, so often people they limit themselves with self-doubt and beliefs and limiting faith. It's just so many crazy things. When in reality, they should be performing 10, 20, 30, 50% better than they are. But they just don't believe in themselves. And it takes some crap, like a miracle water, to make them perform at their highest level possible. And so the goal here, right, is to get rid of this crap and then organically get to this higher point of performance and to succeed in anything that you want to focus on. And so how do you do that? We do that by radically increasing your confidence, just freaking getting out there and doing it hard. If there's such an insane level of self-confidence based off your experiences and your successes, and just doing more than anyone else and just taking action and going hard, that all of a sudden it's ridiculously easy for you to do whatever you want to do. And you're always operating at your peak potential. Because you know that, miracle water or, some bogus stuff, it doesn't matter. Because you're already 100% on your own with your internal drive, your internal motivation, your internal spur that allows you to go so much harder than any fake or phony could ever even dream of, by using power of your mind. Your mind is so powerful. It is the absolute key to so much of success. It's all internal, right? It's all you. It's all in your head. And the instant that you recognize that and you apply it to its full potential and its full force, all of a sudden you don't need bogus to get you performing. You just wake up in the morning, you say, wow, I'm going to go 100% today. So that's the first lesson. Now there's a second lesson too. The second lesson is Applejack. She sees Granny Smith, having the time of her life and trying to jump into pools and have a lot of fun. And it kind of escalates up to the point where she's chugging this stuff down because she's convinced it's like miracle water. And she gets up on a diving board. And as this has been going on, what Applejack, she kind of confronted Flim and Flam and said, hey, this is a scam. And they're like, yeah, we know it's a scam, but if it helps Granny Smith, then shouldn't it be good for everybody? And why would you want to take away that pleasure from your grandma? And so that's kind of the side that they take. And she kind of agrees with them. She's like, okay, yeah, I guess you're sort of right. I don't want to be mean to my grandma. And she forgoes truth and honesty for the sake of temporary personal gain by not having to hurt her grandma. In the long term, she's going to have to freaking tell her that this is bogus. And right now, it's right here. It's not that difficult. But now that she's lying about it and faking it and saying this is real, it's going to be significantly more difficult in the future than if she just freaking bit the bullet and did it right now and let it fall away and get out of town. Comes over here, all right, makes sense, sound cool? And grandma, she climbs this huge ladder, and the pool that she's jumping into is ridiculously tiny. It's that big. So it's like a kiddie pool basically. And Applejack, she's basically she doesn't want her grandma to die because that would kind of suck. And so she's been supporting this product and supporting the Flim Flam brothers from the whole show because she just didn't want to deal with it. And so as this point of contention comes up, she realizes that even if her grandma is at peak potential and she's going 100%, doing everything she can, there's no way she's gonna be able to, she could seriously die if she jumps into this tiny little pool off of this huge diving board. And she's concerned for her, right? It's a dangerous thing. And so at this point she says, look, it's not worth lying to all these people. It's not worth approving a product that doesn't work but makes people think it works through the placebo effect. If it's gonna push people to their literally almost die, it's just not worth it. And at the beginning, the risk reward, the reward for her was seeing her grandma happy, and the risk was, she just kind of lied to everybody and said, look, this is cool stuff. But it wasn't, right? It was a false notion. It was a bad time for her to be there, and so she has to come clean, and she has to admit her fault and admit her mistake and say, I lied, I'm sorry, it was a mistake, this was wrong, she's bad, this is bad. And that's exactly what she does. The instant she does that, everyone understands. They all know, wow, okay, gotcha, this isn't real, this is bogus. And then the product, goes out of business, they're out of style, they're done, right? And they're done because she admitted her mistake and took full responsibility for it instant that she realized it was endangering those that she loved. It was not helping, it was only hurting. So you gotta make sure you're always taking full responsibility and also have an insane amount of confidence so that you can do whatever the heck you want because you're the greatest person on this planet and you should know it. Oh, cool. Okay, so testing 1, 2, 3. So Rainbow Dash is still at the Wonderbolts Academy, and so to be pass some of her classes or something, she has to pass this exam on the history of the Wonderbolts. And so Rainbow Dash, she doesn't like books, she doesn't like school reading, whatever. She just wants to fly around. She's just basically a super athlete. And so for her, history has just never been a strong suit, and she's not really great at just memorizing random crap the traditional way. And so she does what any smart person should do. She goes to her friends and she says, hey guys, I have this problem. What do you think about this problem? and they all come in and they input and they say, okay, well, why don't we try to solve this? There are many different ways to learn things. Why don't you let us help you learn? So she did the right thing here, right? She came to her power base, she came to her mastermind, and she approached them and let them help her solve the problem, because it's like 10,000 times easier for 6 people to solve a problem. This is. And so because of that, these guys give her ideas. So like Twilight, she's got like flashcards, and she makes tons and tons and tons of flashcards to help her memorize the names of everything. The problem is Rainbow Dash doesn't really understand flashcards, and that doesn't work very well because it's just a lot of crap to remember. It's just memorization, names, dates, stuff like that. And she's not, flashcards just don't work particularly well. Like, she goes hard on it, but it just does not help. And so what's Rarity do? Well, Rarity, she tries to teach her the history through fashion, right? She shows them like clothes and tries to show history through clothes and fashion. And like that would work for Rarity, right? But it's not for Rainbow Dash. Same thing with Twilight. Like, it would work for Twilight, but it's not for Rainbow Dash. Same thing with Applejack, right? Tries to show through apples on the farm. It's not going to work for Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy tries to show her through animals. It's not going to work through animals. On a one-on-one individual basis, what they're trying to do is teach her, how they would learn it. And a really great example of this is the way Pinkie Pie tries to teach Rainbow Dash. And I think it kind of sums up pretty much the way that all of the other 5 ponies. And it shows they're not thinking about her, they're seeing it. And it shows they're not thinking about her, they're seeing it through their own eyes instead of others. So let's take a look at that.
Well, back in ancient times, there were the Wonderbolts of old. A general named Firefly, amazing and so bold. She brought them all together, spreading unity and fight, performing at their very best with wonder and with might. Next, Admiral Fairweather and the Colonel Purple Dot, the Wonderbolts of Bit of Steel, along with lots of heart. An Admiral named Fairy Flight, a General Cobra, helped the bulls fly super high, the style and the knack. Commander Easy Glider was the real cream of the crop, for with their wicked moves, the Wonderbolts soared to the top. Wonderbolts, yeah! Wonderbolts, Wonderbolts, yeah! Wonderbolts, that is my rapping history of the Wonderbolts.
And so she's trying to teach through, they're all trying to teach through these methods that just don't work for Rainbow Dash. And they realize, if they really want this to work, they've got to figure out what works for her. And so Twilight, she's flying with, because Twilight's got wings now, right? So she's flying with Rainbow Dash, and then Rainbow is so sad. She's like, I guess I'll just never know the history. It's so difficult. Blah, blah, blah. She's just so sad. She doesn't know what to do. Because the normal ways, they don't work for her. And she's trying things, right? She's trying one way, she's trying another way, she's trying another way. She's trying what her friends are saying. It's just not working. And so they're flying together, and then there's a bird that kind of comes and swoops in, and she's like, hey, watch out, get out the way, or you're gonna get hit. And kind of wicks her off to the side and saves her from getting hit. And Twilight's super impressed. She's like, how'd you know this? How did you see that coming? She's like, you always have to be looking when you fly. And when she flies, she's always scanning her environment and seeing what's around her so that she can not hit things and do really well. And so Twilight listens to that. She says, okay, well, she pays really good attention when she's flying. And then she comes back to the group, right, and says, hey guys, check out what she does. She's really good at paying attention when she flies. And so they come up with this plan, right, where they're creating big visual posters of history of the history that she needs to learn for the Wonderbolts, right? And they spell out all the names of the generals. They draw pictures of everything. And while she's flying with the Twilight back to Cloudsdale, or back to the Wonderbolts Academy, she flies over all these posters and she subconsciously scans them, looks at everything, and then Twilight gives her a test on it. And she's like, whoa, how'd I know that? Because she knows it, and she knows it because they go through a learning process that works for her, that's customized for her, and it suits her lifestyle, and it works extraordinarily well from this point forward. And she memorizes everything. She gets 100 on her test, and she absolutely crushes it. She does an amazing job. And it's not something she would have learned just listening to Pinkie's rap songs or Twilight's flashcards. She had to go through it her own way, and her friends helped her, right? So they had one problem to solve, which was, how are we going to study this well? And they freaking gave it to her, man. They showed her exactly how. Because they went through, the stuff didn't work. And as soon as they chat out what didn't work, they're able to figure out what did work, combine the other elements of the other methods into something that worked very, very, very well. For her, right? Is a customized solution, and like the single best way for her to actually connect with, her thought process, and kind of more importantly, like the underlying facts and the history that she had learned, which is so powerful. And so, like a lot of times, like Rainbow Dash would never have thought of this on her own, right? And so you need to make sure, like, you're getting this outside perspective. You need to be around that power group, those friends that can actually go and move towards that one goal and go through the tough challenges. Because the instant that, like, you have new perspectives, it changes everything and drastically skyrockets. Your productivity and your ability to problem solve and get through those difficult situations. So you have so many different viewpoints, and now everybody can just focus on that little sliver that they're really good at. And for Twilight, it was like making all these cards, and then her friends helped her hold all the cards. And then similarly, like, we already had like dresses, and she like dressed up the people that were like spelling out the names in the streets of their names, and it was everybody coming together in a fusion, a power, a fusion of work, and that is what allowed her to go out there and succeed and absolutely crush the test, because she had the support. She had like all these people behind her, and the more people you have backing you when you go into some kind of product or some kind of goal or some kind of challenge, the more successful you'll be. Like think about it, like it's so difficult. Like you have like a CS test or math test, and you have like 15 people tutoring you. Like it's gonna be ridiculously difficult for you to not crush that exam, because there are so many people behind you. So if you can increase the number of people behind your product, behind your project, behind your vision, behind your idea that want to succeed, you exponentially increase this. You exponentially increase your chances to succeed.